The cell was made of crystal. Jake Miller had counted every wall, every corner, every crack in the strange blue material that held him prisoner. 17 days. 17 days since the Battle of Europa. 17 days since he watched his entire fleet burn in the cold darkness of space. He sat on the floor with his back against the wall. The crystal was always cold. It never got warm, no matter how long he pressed his body against it. The Valorians liked it cold. They were not human. They did not feel things the way humans did. Jake was a captain. He had commanded 300 soldiers on the warship Liberty. Now, he was alone. He did not know if any of his people had survived. He did not know if Earth still existed. The Valorians told him nothing. They only asked questions. The door opened with a soft sound. 2 guards walked in. They were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and silver eyes. They wore armor that looked like liquid metal. They never spoke to him. They only grabbed his arms and pulled him to his feet. Jake did not fight them. He had tried that on the first day. He had broken one guard's nose before 4 others knocked him down. They did not hurt him after that. They just looked at him like he was a strange animal. Like they were curious about what he would do next. They walked him down a long hallway. The walls were made of the same blue crystal. Everything on this ship was blue or silver. It was beautiful in a cold way. Jake hated it. He missed the brown dirt of Earth. He missed the green trees. He missed the yellow sun. They brought him to a large room. The Valorian Council sat on high chairs arranged in a circle. There were 12 of them, old ones with wrinkled blue skin. Their silver eyes watched Jake as the guards pushed him to the center of the room. One of them spoke. His voice was deep and smooth. "Human, you have been asked many questions. You have given no answers. This is your last chance. Tell us what we want to know." Jake looked up at the council member. He was tired. His body hurt. He had not slept well in 17 days. But he forced himself to stand straight. He forced himself to look them in the eyes. "I have nothing to say," Jake said. The council member nodded slowly. "We know there are hidden human colonies. We know there are ships hiding in the asteroid belt. We know there are codes to your satellite defense system. Give us this information, and we will treat your people with kindness." Jake almost laughed. Kindness. The Valorians had destroyed 6 cities on Earth in the first week of the war. They had killed millions of people. They did not know what kindness meant. "I have nothing to say," Jake repeated. Another council member leaned forward. This one was female. Her voice was sharp like broken glass. "We have ways to make you talk, human. Our truth vapors have broken species far stronger than yours. Our neural probes can pull memories from your brain like pulling threads from cloth. Do you want to experience these things?" Jake's heart beat faster. He had heard stories about Valorian interrogation methods. He had seen what they did to other prisoners. He was afraid. He would not lie about that. But fear was just a feeling. It did not control him. "Do what you have to do," Jake said. "I will not betray my people." They used the truth vapors first. A sweet-smelling gas filled a small room. Jake breathed it in. He felt his mind become soft and loose. The Valorians asked him questions. Where are the colonies? What are the codes? Who leads the resistance? Jake recited nursery rhymes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. He said the words over and over. The vapors made him want to talk, but they could not make him talk about specific things. He filled his mouth with nonsense, so there was no room for secrets. The Valorians were confused. They increased the dose. Jake switched to counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. He counted to 1,000. Then he started over. His head hurt. His chest burned, but he kept counting. They tried the neural probes next. A machine pressed against his forehead. It felt like cold fingers reaching into his brain. They searched for memories. They looked for faces and places and numbers. Jake thought about baseball. He remembered every game he had watched as a child. He remembered the smell of hot dogs and the sound of the crowd. He filled his mind with batting averages and player names and the rules of the game. The probes found only baseball. Nothing useful. Nothing important. The Valorians grew angry. They were an ancient species. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. No one had ever resisted their methods. They had broken creatures that could read minds, creatures that could bend space, creatures that lived for 10,000 years. But they could not break one tired human captain who thought about baseball. They threatened him with death. Jake asked if they could make it quick. He was not joking. He was not being brave. He was simply tired. Death did not scare him as much as betrayal. He would rather die than give up his people. The council met in private. Jake waited in his cell. Hours passed. Then days. They did not call him back for questioning. He wondered if they had given up. He wondered if they were planning something worse. On the 20th day, a guard came to his cell. But this guard was different. She moved with more grace than the others. Her armor was decorated with golden symbols. She looked at Jake with eyes that held something other than cold emptiness. "The council has decided to try something new," she said. "The princes will see you now." Jake frowned. "Princes?" The guard nodded. "Princess Vara, the emperor's youngest daughter. She is different. She does not use pain or chemicals. She uses words." The guard paused. "No one has ever resisted her. She has broken minds that made our strongest probes look like toys." Jake stood slowly. His legs were weak. He had not eaten much in the past few days. "And if I resist her too?" The guard looked at him with something that might have been respect. Or maybe it was pity. "Then you will be the first human. But you will not resist her. No one does." They walked him down new hallways. These ones had windows. Jake could see space outside. Stars and planets and the endless black void. Somewhere out there, his family waited. His wife, Emma. His children, Sam and Lily. He did not know if they were alive. He had to believe they were. That belief was the only thing keeping him going. The guard stopped at a large door. It was white instead of blue. Strange symbols covered its surface. The female guard touched a panel, and the door slid open. Inside was a room unlike any Jake had seen on the ship. It had soft furniture. Plants grew in the corners. A window showed a view of a distant nebula, purple and gold and beautiful. And in the center of the room stood a woman. She was Valorian, but she looked younger than the others. Her skin was a lighter shade of blue. Her silver eyes were larger, softer. She wore a simple white dress instead of armor. She smiled when she saw Jake. "Captain Miller," she said. Her voice was gentle, almost warm. "My name is Vera. I have heard much about you. Please, sit down. We have much to talk about." Jake did not sit. He stood in the doorway and looked at this strange princess. She did not look dangerous. She looked kind. But Jake knew that was exactly what made her dangerous. "I have nothing to say," he told her. The same words he had said 100 times before. Vera's smile did not fade. "That is fine, Captain. You do not have to say anything. But I hope you will listen, because I have many questions about your people. And I think, in time, you will want to answer them." She sat down on a soft chair and gestured to the seat across from her. "Please, sit. Let us begin." Jake looked at the chair, then at the princess, then at the guards behind him. He had a feeling that this interrogation would be very different from the others. And for the first time in 20 days, he was not sure if he could win. He sat down, and Vera began to speak. Princess Vera did not ask about military secrets. She did not ask about hidden colonies or defense codes or resistance leaders. Instead, she asked about rain. "Tell me about rain," she said on the first day. "I have read about it. Water falling from the sky. But I have never experienced it. What does it feel like?" Jake said nothing. He sat in his chair with his arms crossed and his mouth closed. He stared at a point on the wall behind her head. He would not look at her eyes. He had heard that her eyes could pull secrets from people. He did not know if that was true, but he would not take the risk. Vera waited. She was patient. When Jake did not answer, she simply nodded and moved on. "What about the ocean?" she asked. "I have seen pictures. So much water in one place. Does it really stretch to the horizon? Can you really not see the other side?" Jake stayed silent. Vera smiled softly. "That is fine. You do not have to speak, but I will keep asking. Because I find your species fascinating, Captain Miller. Truly fascinating." She talked for 3 hours that first day. She told him about her own world, about the crystal cities and the silver skies, about how Valorians did not feel temperature the way humans did, about how they slept only 1 hour each night and spent the rest of their time thinking and working. Jake listened but did not respond. When the session ended, the guards took him back to his cell. He lay on the cold floor and wondered what her plan was. What was she trying to do? Why did she ask about rain and oceans instead of weapons and locations? On the second day, Vera asked about music. "We have music too," she said. "But ours is mathematical. Perfect notes arranged in perfect patterns. I have heard human music. It is different. Sometimes the notes clash. Sometimes the rhythm breaks. It should be unpleasant, but somehow it is beautiful." She tilted her head. "How do humans create such beauty from imperfection?" Jake did not answer. Vera played a recording. It was an old Earth song. A woman singing about lost love. The melody was simple. The words were sad. Jake recognized it. His mother used to sing this song while cooking dinner. He felt something twist in his chest, but he kept his face still. "This song has no mathematical structure," Vera said. "No pattern I can understand. Yet it makes me feel something. I do not know what to call the feeling. We do not have a word for it." She looked at Jake. "What do you call it, Captain?" Jake almost answered. The word was on his tongue. Sadness. Longing. Nostalgia. He bit down on his lip and said nothing. On the third day, Vera asked about love. "Your species places great importance on romantic connection," she said. "You write songs about it. You make art about it. You fight wars over it. You die for it." She leaned forward. "Valorians do not have this. We form partnerships for reproduction and political alliance. But this thing you call love, we do not understand it." She pulled out a book. It was old and worn. Jake recognized it immediately. Romeo and Juliet, one of the most famous love stories ever written. "I have read this many times," Vera said. "Two young people from enemy families fall in love. They cannot be together. They choose death instead. This makes no sense to me. Why would they die for something as temporary as emotion? Why not simply choose different partners?" Jake felt anger rise in his chest. She was talking about love like it was a math problem, like it was something you could solve with logic. She did not understand. She could not understand, but he did not speak. Vera closed the book. "You know, Captain, I have broken many minds. I have spoken to creatures who ruled entire star systems. I have questioned beings who were older than your species' written history. They all talked eventually. Some took hours. Some took weeks. But they all talked. She stood and walked to the window. The nebula swirled outside, purple and gold. Do you know why they talked? She asked. It was not because I hurt them. It was because I listened. Everyone wants to be understood. Everyone wants someone to hear their story. That is the one thing all living creatures share. The need to be known. She turned back to Jake. You have been silent for 3 days. You have not said a single word. I could send you back to the council. I could let them use their probes again. They would eventually find something useful in your brain. She paused. But I do not want to do that. I want to understand you. I want to understand your species. And I believe, deep down, you want to be understood too. Jake met her eyes for the first time. Silver meeting brown. Alien meeting human. Two creatures from opposite ends of the galaxy, sitting in a room made of crystal and light. Why? Jake asked. His voice was rough from 3 days of silence. Vera's eyes widened slightly. It was the first word he had spoken to her. She sat back down slowly, carefully, like she was afraid any sudden movement would make him go quiet again. Why what? She asked. Why do you want to understand us? Jake said, your people have conquered 1,000 worlds. You have seen every type of life in the galaxy. Why do humans matter to you? Vera was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, and this time the smile seemed genuine. Because you are different, she said. Every species we have conquered has been logical. They calculated the odds of victory. When those odds became impossible, they surrendered. That is the rational thing to do. The smart thing. She shook her head. But humans are not rational. You fought when you had no chance of winning. You died by the millions rather than surrender. Even now, with your fleet destroyed and your planet occupied, your people keep fighting. Hidden in asteroids. Hiding in caves. Making weapons from broken ships. She leaned forward. My father says humans are stupid. He says you are like animals, acting on instinct instead of thought. But I do not believe that. I have seen stupid species. They do not write songs about love. They do not look at the stars and dream of touching them. They do not send messages into the void hoping someone will answer. Jake felt something shift inside him. This was not what he expected. This princess was not like the others. She was asking real questions. She wanted real answers, but he could not forget who she was. She was the enemy. Her people had killed millions. Her people had destroyed his home. Whatever she said, whatever she seemed to feel, she was still trying to break him. This was just another form of interrogation. I have nothing to say, Jake said. But this time, the words felt hollow. Like he did not fully believe them. Vera nodded. I understand. You do not trust me. Why would you? My people have hurt you. Have hurt your family. She paused. But I want you to know something, Captain. I am not my people. I do not agree with everything they do. I did not want this war. I argued against it in the council. But you lost, Jake said. Yes, Vera agreed. I lost. My father wanted Earth. He wanted its water and its metals and its land. He did not care about the people living there. He said they were primitive, not worth saving. She looked down at her hands. I told him he was wrong, but I am just his youngest daughter. My words carry little weight. Jake studied her face. She looked sad, genuinely sad. But was it real? Or was this just another trick? Why are you telling me this? He asked. Vera looked up. Because I need you to understand. I am not here to break you, Captain. I am here to learn. When this war ends, I will need to help rebuild. I will need to know how to deal with humans, how to live with them, how to earn their trust. She took a deep breath. That cannot happen if I do not understand you. And I cannot understand you if you will not speak to me. Jake said nothing. He thought about her words. He thought about his family. He thought about the rain and the ocean and the songs his mother used to sing. Finally, he spoke. Rain feels like 1,000 tiny touches on your skin, he said quietly. Cold and wet and alive. When I was a boy, I used to run outside when it rained. I would stand there with my face pointed at the sky and let the drops fall on me. My mother would yell at me to come inside. She said I would get sick. But I did not care. I loved the rain. Vera's eyes softened. She did not speak. She just listened. The ocean is bigger than anything you can imagine, Jake continued. It moves like it is breathing. It makes sounds like it is singing. When I first saw it, I was 5 years old. I stood on the beach and cried because it was so beautiful. He stopped. He had said more in the last minute than he had said in the past 20 days. He did not know why. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he was lonely. Maybe he just needed someone to listen. Vera smiled. Thank you, Captain. That is beautiful. Jake looked away. Do not thank me. I have not told you anything useful. I have not told you anything useful. Perhaps not to my father, Vera said. But to me? You have told me everything I needed to know. She stood and walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back. I will see you tomorrow, Captain Miller. And I hope you will tell me more about your world. Because I think perhaps it is a world worth saving. The door closed behind her. Jake sat alone in the beautiful room with the purple nebula outside the window. He thought about what he had said. He thought about what she had said. And for the first time since his capture, he felt something other than anger and fear. He felt hope. The weeks passed slowly. Every day, Vera came to the crystal room with the purple nebula. Every day, she asked questions. And slowly, carefully, Jake began to answer. He did not tell her anything about the military. He did not mention the hidden colonies or the resistance fighters or the defense codes. Those secrets stayed locked inside his heart. But he told her other things. Small things. Human things. He told her about his childhood in Texas, about the hot summers and the dry wind and the way the stars looked at night when you were far from the city lights. He told her about his father, who worked on cars and taught Jake how to fix engines when he was barely tall enough to see over the hood. He told her about his mother, who made the best apple pie in 3 counties and cried every time she watched a sad movie. Vera listened to everything. She asked questions. She wanted to understand every detail. Why did humans cry when they were sad? Why did they eat food that tasted good instead of just food that was nutritious? Why did they keep pets, animals that served no practical purpose? Jake tried to explain. Sometimes he could not find the right words. How do you describe the feeling of a dog's warm body pressed against your leg? How do you explain the taste of apple pie fresh from the oven? Some things could not be put into language. You had to experience them. Your species is inefficient, Vera said one day. You waste so much time on things that do not help you survive. You watch moving pictures for entertainment. You play games that have no purpose. You spend hours preparing food when you could eat simple nutrition pills. Jake laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in over a month. The sound surprised him. Maybe that is why we are happy, he said. Or at least happier than your people seem to be. Vera tilted her head. We are content. Is that not the same thing? No, Jake said. Content means you have enough. Happy means you have more than enough. Happy means you have so much that it spills over. Like a cup that is too full. Vera thought about this for a long time. "I do not think I have ever been happy," she said finally. "I have been satisfied. I have been comfortable, but never overflowing." She looked at Jake with curiosity. "What makes you happy, Captain?" Jake thought about the question. What made him happy? Not winning battles, not commanding ships. Those things gave him pride, but not happiness. "My family," he said quietly. "My wife and children. Being with them. Watching them laugh. Seeing my son learn something new. Holding my daughter when she is scared." His voice grew thick. "That is what makes me happy. That is what fills my cup until it overflows." Vera was quiet. She seemed to sense that she had touched something deep, something painful. "Tell me about them," she said softly. "Your family." Jake shook his head. "I cannot. It hurts too much. I do not know if they are alive or dead. I do not know if I will ever see them again." He pressed his hands against his eyes. "Every night I dream about them, and every morning I wake up in this cell, and I remember that they might be gone. That pain never gets easier. It just gets heavier." Vera did not push. She let the silence sit between them like a blanket. The next day, she brought him something. A small box made of silver metal. She placed it on the table between them. "I searched our records," she said. "We have collected many items from human vessels, from human cities. I looked for anything connected to the ship Liberty. To you." She pushed the box toward him. "I found this." Jake's heart pounded. He reached out with trembling hands and opened the box. Inside was a photograph. The picture showed a beach at sunset. The sky was orange and gold and pink. Waves rolled gently against the sand. And standing in the water were 4 people. A man, a woman, and 2 children. The boy was building a sandcastle. The little girl was sitting on the man's shoulders, her arms stretched toward the sky. Jake knew this picture. He had taken it himself, using a timer on his camera. It was 2 years ago. A vacation to California. The last vacation they had taken before the war started. Emma, Sam, Lily, his family, his whole world. He pressed the photograph to his chest. His body shook. Tears fell from his eyes and dropped onto the crystal table. He did not try to hide them. He could not. Vera watched him. Her silver eyes were wet. Jake did not know Valorians could cry. "The woman," Vera said quietly. "She is your wife?" Jake nodded. He could not speak. "She is beautiful. Her face is kind." Vera paused. "The children, they have your eyes." Jake looked at the photograph again. Sam was 7 in this picture. He was wearing his favorite blue shirt with a rocket on the front. He wanted to be an astronaut when he grew up. He knew the names of every moon in the solar system. He asked 100 questions every day, and Jake tried to answer every single one. Lily was 4. She was afraid of the dark. Every night, Jake would leave the hallway light on so she could see it under her door. She slept with a stuffed bear named Mr. Honey. She had the brightest smile Jake had ever seen. "Tell me about them," Vera said. "Please." And Jake did. He told her about Emma, how they met in college, how she spilled coffee on him in the library and spent an hour apologizing, how they talked all night and forgot to study for their exams, how she became a teacher because she believed that every child deserved someone who believed in them, how she would wake up early every morning to make breakfast for the kids, even when she was exhausted. He told her about Sam, how curious he was, how he took apart his toys to see how they worked and then put them back together, how he cried when he learned that stars died because he thought they were alive, how he asked Jake if humans would ever live on other planets, and Jake promised him that someday they would. He told her about Lily, how she laughed at everything, how she called butterflies flutterbys because she thought that was their real name. How she held Jake's hand whenever they walked anywhere, even in their own house. How she told him every night that he was the best daddy in the whole world. Jake talked for hours. He did not notice time passing. He did not notice that the lights in the room had grown dim. He just talked, and Vera listened. When he finally stopped, his throat was raw and his eyes were dry. He had cried all the tears his body could make. He felt empty, but also lighter. Like something that had been pressing down on his chest had finally been lifted. Vera was silent for a long time. Then she spoke. "I understand now," she said. "Why you fight. Why you refuse to surrender. It is not about winning or losing. It is not about logic or strategy." She looked at the photograph in his hands. "It is about them. About love. About the cup that overflows." Jake nodded slowly. "They are everything to me. Without them, I am nothing. Just a man in a uniform. But with them, I am more. I am a husband, a father. I have a purpose. I have a reason to live." Vera stood and walked to the window. The nebula swirled silently outside. "My father will never understand this," she said. "He sees humans as resources, as territory to be conquered. He does not see the photographs, the memories, the love." She turned back to Jake. "But I see them. I see you, Captain Miller. And I think I finally understand your species." Jake looked up at her. "What will you do with that understanding?" Vera did not answer immediately. She seemed to be thinking, choosing her words carefully. "I do not know yet," she admitted. "But I know that something has changed. In me. In the way I see this war." She paused. "You have given me something today, Captain. Something more valuable than any military secret. You have given me truth." Jake held the photograph against his heart. His family's faces smiled at him from the paper. He did not know if they were alive. But looking at them now, he felt them. Their love reached across the stars and touched him. "Can I keep this?" he asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Vera nodded. "It is yours. It was always yours." She walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back one more time. "Thank you, Jake," she said. It was the first time she had used his first name. "For trusting me with your heart." Then she was gone. Jake sat alone in the room. He looked at the photograph. He touched the faces of his wife and children. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you all so much. And I will find you. I promise. Whatever it takes, I will find you." The nebula swirled outside the window. The stars burned in the darkness. And somewhere in that vast emptiness, Jake's family waited. He would not give up. He would never give up, because love was the one thing no empire could conquer. Vera came to Jake's cell on a cold morning. Her face was different. The softness was still there, but something else was present too. Something heavy. "The council has given me an order," she said. She did not sit down. "My father is losing patience. The resistance has struck again. They destroyed a supply ship near the asteroid belt. 100 Valorian soldiers died." Jake felt a spark of pride. His people were still fighting. Even without him, they were still fighting. "My father wants answers," Vera continued. "He believes you know where the resistance is hiding. He believes you know who is leading them." She paused. "He has given me one more day to get those answers. If I fail, he will use the neural probes again. And this time, they will not stop until they have torn every memory from your mind. You will be left empty. A shell. Alive but not living." Jake's blood went cold. He had survived the probes before, but only by filling his mind with noise. If they turned up the power, if they searched deeper, he would not be able to hide anything. They would find everything. The locations, the names, the codes. And then everyone he loved would die. Why are you telling me this? Jake asked. Vera finally sat down. Her silver eyes met his. Because I do not want that to happen. Because these past weeks have changed me. Because I believe there is another way. Jake waited. I have to ask you one question, Vera said. Just one. It is the question my father has been demanding from the beginning. If you answer it, I can tell him I have succeeded. If you do not answer it, I cannot protect you anymore. She leaned forward. Her voice was soft but serious. Why do humans keep fighting? Your fleet is destroyed. Your planet is occupied. Your population is scattered and dying. By every logical measure, the war is over. You have lost. But still, your people resist. They hide in caves and asteroids. They attack our ships with weapons made from broken metal. They die by the thousands, yet more always rise to take their place. She spread her hands. Why? What keeps you fighting when there is no hope of victory? Jake looked at her for a long time. This was the question. The real question. Not about locations or codes, but about something deeper. Something that made humans human. He stood up slowly. His legs were stiff from sitting. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. You want to know why we keep fighting, he said. The truth? Yes, Vera said. The truth. Jake turned to face her. Something shifted in his eyes. The tiredness was still there, but behind it was something else. Something that made Vera take a small step backward. We keep fighting because you do not understand what we are, Jake said. Vera frowned. Explain. Your empire has conquered 1,000 worlds, Jake said. Every species you have faced has been rational. They calculated the odds. They measured their losses against their chances of victory. When defeat became certain, they surrendered. That is the logical thing to do. The smart thing. He paused. But humans are not smart, princess. Not in the way you mean. He took a step toward her. We are the species that charged into machine gun fire with swords because our general told us to. We are the ones who sailed wooden ships into storms that should have killed us, just because we wanted to see what was on the other side of the ocean. We split the atom, watched the mushroom cloud rise into the sky, and then said, let us make it bigger because we were curious. Another step. We strap ourselves to metal tubes filled with explosive fuel and launch ourselves into space. Not because it is safe. Not because it is logical. But because we looked at the moon and said, I want to stand there. And then we did. Vera's back touched the wall. She had nowhere else to go. Your people calculate odds, Jake said. You measure risk against reward. You make decisions based on what makes sense. But humans? He shook his head. Humans do not surrender. It is not in our nature. You can kill us. You can burn our cities and break our bones. You can take everything we have. But you cannot make us stop. He was close to her now. Close enough to see his reflection in her silver eyes. You want to know why we keep fighting? He said, because surrender is just a word to us. We know what it means, but we do not feel it. Not in our hearts. Not in our souls. When a human falls, another human picks up their weapon. When a human dies, another human swears revenge. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We pass our hatred down through generations like a sacred fire. Vera's breathing was fast. She pressed herself against the wall. My great-grandmother survived the war, Jake continued. She was put in a prison camp. They took everything from her. Her family. Her home. Her name. They tried to erase her people from history. Do you know what she did? He smiled. A hard, cold smile. She lived. She had children. She told them stories about what happened. And they told their children. And now, 3 generations later, the people who tried to destroy her are gone. But her blood still flows. Her memory still lives. He stepped back, giving Vera room to breathe. You think the war is over because you have won the battles, he said. But you have not won anything. You have just started a fight that will never end. Somewhere, right now, a human mother is telling her child about Earth, about the beautiful blue planet that the Valorians destroyed. And that child is learning to hate you. And they will teach their children to hate you. And their children will teach their children. He walked back to the window and looked out at the stars. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not in 100 years. Maybe not in 1,000. But one day, when you have forgotten about us, when you think humans are just a memory in your history books, someone will come for you. A human with fire in their heart and revenge in their blood. And they will make you pay for what you have done. The room was silent. Vera did not move. She barely breathed. That is why we keep fighting, Jake said softly. Not because we can win. Not because it is logical. But because hope is not rational. And neither are we. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The stars burned outside the window. The nebula swirled in silence. Then Vera spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper. You are serious, she said. You truly believe this? I do not believe it, Jake said. I know it. It is who we are. It is what we are. He turned to face her. Your father thinks he can conquer humanity. He is wrong. He can kill us. He can scatter us. He can drive us to the edges of the galaxy. But he can never defeat us. Because defeat means giving up. And we do not know how to give up. Vera stood silently for a long time. Jake watched her face. He could see the thoughts moving behind her eyes. The doubt. The fear. The understanding. I thought I understood your species, she said finally. I thought these weeks had taught me who you were. But I was wrong. I only saw the surface. The love. The beauty. The art. She looked at him with new eyes. I did not see this. This fire. This rage. This endless, impossible will. Most humans try to hide it, Jake said. We call it civilization. We build laws and rules to control it. We pretend we are reasonable creatures. But deep down, under all the politeness and the smiles, there is something older. Something that our ancestors needed to survive when the world was trying to kill them. He paused. That thing never went away. We just learned to put it on a leash. But when you threaten us, when you hurt our families, when you try to break us, he shook his head. The leash comes off. Vera nodded slowly. She seemed to have aged in the past few minutes. The innocent curiosity was gone from her eyes. I must tell my father something, she said. What do I tell him? Jake thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Not a hard smile this time, but something sadder. Tell him the truth, Jake said. Tell him that humans will never stop fighting. Tell him that every human he kills creates 10 more enemies. Tell him that he can conquer our bodies, but never our spirits. Tell him that this war will cost him more than he can imagine. He walked to his chair and sat down. The fire was still in his eyes, but it was banked now. Under control. And tell him one more thing, Jake said. Tell him that I feel sorry for him. Because he is fighting an enemy he cannot understand. And that is a war he can never win. Vera looked at him for a long moment. Then she bowed her head. Thank you, Jake, she said. For the truth. All of it. She walked to the door. Her hand touched the panel. Before she pressed it, she turned back. I do not know what will happen next, she said. But I want you to know that I heard you. Every word. And I will never forget. The door opened. She stepped through. and Jake was alone with the stars and the truth and the fire that burned in his human heart. Princess Vera stood before the council. Her father sat on the highest chair, his silver eyes cold and hard. The other council members watched her with curiosity. It was rare for the princess to request a formal audience. "You asked me to break the human," Vera said. Her voice was steady. "I have spent weeks with him. I have learned everything he is willing to share." Emperor Marcus leaned forward. "The hidden colonies, the defense codes, the resistance leaders. Did he give you these things?" Vera shook her head. "No, father, he did not." Anger flashed across the emperor's face. "Then you have failed. I will send him back to the neural probes. We will tear his mind apart until we find what we need." "That would be a mistake," Vera said. The room went silent. No one spoke to the emperor like that. Not even his children. "Explain yourself," Marcus said. His voice was ice. Vera took a deep breath. She had practiced this speech 100 times in her mind. Now she had to say it out loud. "I learned something far more valuable than military secrets," she said. "I learned why humans fight. I learned what makes them different from every other species we have conquered." She paused. "And I learned why this war is a mistake." The council members murmured among themselves. Marcus raised his hand, and they fell silent. "Continue," he said. Vera told them everything. She told them about human love, about the way they connected to each other through bonds stronger than logic. She told them about human music and art, about the beauty they created from chaos. She told them about the photograph, about Jake's family, about the way he wept when he saw their faces. Then she told them about the fire. "Humans do not surrender," she said. "They do not know how. When you push them, they push back harder. When you hurt them, they remember. For generations, for centuries, they pass their hatred down like a sacred flame. Every human we kill creates 10 more enemies. Every city we burn becomes a story that human children will hear for 1,000 years." She looked at her father directly. "We can conquer their planet," she said. "We can scatter their people across the galaxy. We can destroy everything they have built. But we can never defeat them. Because defeat means acceptance. And humans do not accept. They endure. They survive. They wait. And when we have forgotten about them, when we think they are no longer a threat, they will come for us. Not to win, just to hurt us, just to make us pay." Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "This is the rambling of a broken prisoner," he said. "He has filled your head with stories and emotions. You are young. You do not understand war." "I understand more than you think," Vera said. "I have studied human history. I have read about their wars. They fought each other for thousands of years. They created weapons that could destroy their own world. They came close to ending their own species, twice, and still they continued. Still they built. Still they reached for the stars." She stepped forward. "We are an ancient people, Father. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. But we have grown comfortable. We have forgotten what it means to struggle, to fight for survival, to refuse to give up even when all hope is lost." She shook her head. "Humans have not forgotten. It is in their blood. It is in their bones. It is the thing that makes them human." "Enough," Marcus said. He stood from his chair. "You have been fooled by a clever prisoner. He told you what you wanted to hear. He made you feel sympathy for his species. This is a manipulation technique. Nothing more. It is not manipulation if it is true," Vera said. Marcus walked down from his chair until he stood directly in front of his daughter. He was a full head taller than her. His shadow fell across her face. "I have made my decision," he said. "The human will be sent to the neural probes. We will extract every secret from his mind. Then we will execute him as an example to others. The resistance will see that their heroes cannot save them. They will surrender. They will not surrender, Vera said quietly. They will fight harder. They will remember Jake Miller as a martyr. They will tell stories about the captain who refused to break. And those stories will give them strength. Marcus turned away. The council will vote. The vote was not close. 11-1. Only Vera voted against. Jake Miller would be destroyed. That night, Vera made a different decision. She went to the detention level alone. She used her royal codes to bypass the guards. She opened Jake's cell with her own hand. Jake was lying on the floor, holding the photograph of his family. He looked up when the door opened. He did not seem surprised to see her. The vote did not go well, he said. No, Vera admitted. My father has ordered the probes. Tomorrow morning. Jake nodded slowly. He had known this was coming. He had accepted it. Vera stepped into the cell. Get up, she said. Jake frowned. What? Get up. We do not have much time. She grabbed his arm and pulled him to his feet. There is a shuttle bay on level 12. I have programmed a small ship to launch on a random trajectory. It will take you toward the asteroid belt. The Resistance has ships hiding there. If you are lucky, they will find you before your air runs out. Jake stared at her. You are helping me escape. Yes. Why? Vera looked at him with those silver eyes. For a moment, she did not look like an alien princess. She looked like a young woman who had made a hard choice. Because you were right, she said. About everything. Humans are not like other species. You cannot be conquered. You can only be destroyed or accepted. And I do not want to destroy you. She paused. I want to learn from you. I want my people to learn from you. The fire you described, the will that never breaks, we have lost that. We need to find it again. She handed him a small device. This is a communicator. It will work for one transmission. When you reach the Resistance, contact them. Tell them what you told me. Tell them the Princess of Valoria heard them. Jake took the device. His hands were shaking. What will happen to you? He asked. When they discover I am gone? Vera smiled. A sad, beautiful smile. I am the Emperor's daughter. He will not kill me, but I will be punished. Perhaps exiled. Perhaps imprisoned. She shrugged. It does not matter. Some things are more important than comfort. Jake looked at her for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised both of them. He hugged her. Vera went stiff at first. Valorians did not embrace. Physical contact was rare among their people. But slowly, she relaxed into it. She felt the warmth of his human body, the beat of his human heart. Thank you, Jake whispered. I will never forget this. Go, Vera said, pulling back. The guards change in 10 minutes. You must be gone by then. Jake nodded. He tucked the photograph into his pocket. He held the communicator tight. Then he ran. Vera watched him disappear down the corridor. She did not move until she could no longer hear his footsteps. Then she returned to her quarters and waited for the morning. Jake reached the shuttle bay without being seen. The small ship was where Vera said it would be. He climbed inside and launched before anyone could stop him. As the Valorian mothership grew smaller behind him, he looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, his family waited. Somewhere in that darkness, the Resistance fought on. Somewhere in that darkness, humanity refused to die. He activated the communicator. This is Captain Jake Miller, he said. I am transmitting on an open frequency. To any human who can hear this, I am alive. The enemy captured me. They tried to break me. They failed. He paused. I have a message from an unexpected source. Princess Vera of Valoria helped me escape. She heard our story. She understands who we are. She knows that we will never stop fighting." He took a deep breath. "The enemy is powerful, but they are afraid of us. They do not understand us. And that is why we will win. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday." He looked out at the stars one more time. "To my wife Emma, to my children Sam and Lily, if you can hear this, I love you. I am coming home. I promise." He ended the transmission. The shuttle flew on through the endless night, and somewhere behind him, on the greatest warship in the known universe, a princess sat alone in her room. She thought about rain and oceans and the fire that burned in human hearts. For the first time in her long life, she understood what it meant to hope. And for the first time since the war began, she believed that perhaps, just perhaps, there was another way. The stars burned on in silence, and humanity, broken but unbroken, fought on.